She could feel the weight of their stares, but she stood tall, her expression calm, even as her heart raced. Then, just as the senior officer reached for her laptop, a voice from behind them froze everyone in place. "Excuse me, what's going on here?" The voice was calm but carried authority, cutting through the tense atmosphere. Everyone turned to see a sharply dressed man approaching, his airport badge glinting under the harsh lights. He was clearly someone important. The senior officer straightened up immediately, his posture stiffening as he explained the random search procedure, carefully avoiding eye contact with the man now standing just feet away. The woman recognized him instantly. He had been present at several board meetings, though they'd never spoken directly. She watched as his eyes shifted from the officers to her, a flicker of recognition sparking in his expression. "Ma'am," he said, addressing her now, "is everything all right?" The senior officer, visibly confused, glanced between them, trying to piece together what he had just walked into. The tension crackled in the air, and it became clear to everyone watching. This was no ordinary passenger. Something big was about to unfold. The senior officer, still trying to assert control, replied sharply, "She's undergoing a routine search." But the man in the suit wasn't buying it. He turned to the woman and said, "I believe there's been a misunderstanding. Please allow me to assist you personally." The officers hesitated, unsure whether to protest, but the man's authority was undeniable. He gestured for her belongings to be returned, and with a calm smile, she finally spoke, her voice measured yet commanding. "I appreciate your help. It's interesting, though. This isn't the first time I've been treated differently in an airport I technically own." Her words landed like a thunderclap. The onlookers' murmurs grew louder as realization dawned on the officers. The younger one visibly paled, stepping back awkwardly, while the senior officer stammered an apology. The man in the suit nodded knowingly, turning to the officers. "This is Ms. Daniels, our largest shareholder. Perhaps you should consider how you treat our most valuable assets." As she gathered her belongings, she paused, looking the senior officer in the eye. "Next time, lead with respect. It might save you some embarrassment." Then, with her head held high, she walked away, leaving them to grapple with the weight of their actions. As she walked away, the air felt lighter, but the lesson lingered heavy behind her. The officers, now visibly flustered, exchanged awkward glances, their authority shattered by their own actions. She didn't need to explain herself further. Her quiet dignity and the truth of her position had done that for her. The man in the suit caught up with her before she reached the gate. "I'm deeply sorry for what happened," he said sincerely. She gave him a small nod, knowing his words weren't just for show. "Perhaps this will be an opportunity to revisit your staff training," she replied, her tone firm yet composed. As she boarded her flight, she reflected on the moment. It wasn't about showing power. It was about reminding people that respect should never depend on assumptions. For everyone watching that day, it was a moment they wouldn't forget. For her, it was just another day proving why she belonged. Imagine walking through an airport just like anyone else, only to feel the sharp sting of judgment and disrespect simply because of who you are. That's exactly what happened to a Black woman traveling for business, minding her own, until she was singled out for a random search. The security staff's tone turned curt, their assumptions clear. They saw her as just another passenger to intimidate. But what they didn't realize, she wasn't just any traveler. She was the largest shareholder in the very company that operated the airport. As tensions rose and the situation escalated, she remained calm, knowing something they didn't. Her quiet power held more weight than their hollow accusations. What happens when someone's true identity is revealed, shattering stereotypes and exposing hidden biases? Stick around because this is a story of resilience, justice, and a lesson that left everyone speechless. She stood there, her calm demeanor masking the storm of emotions swirling inside her. It wasn't the first time she'd felt the weight of assumptions press down on her, but this time it stung differently. The security agents, speaking in clipped tones, demanded to see her belongings. Their eyes carried a mix of impatience and suspicion, as if they had already decided who she was. As the seconds ticked by, passengers passing through the checkpoint glanced her way, some curious, others indifferent. She thought about everything it had taken to get here. The late nights, the sacrifices, and the countless times she had to prove herself in rooms where she wasn't expected to succeed. But today wasn't about defending her worth. No, today was about something much bigger. The truth about her identity was a ticking clock, and when it came out, it would shake the room, and them to their core. The security officer waved her bag to the side, gesturing for a more thorough inspection. Another officer, younger and less confident, hesitated for a moment before stepping in to assist. She noticed his uncertainty, the slight twitch in his hands as he unzipped her carry-on. Meanwhile, the senior officer kept his tone firm, addressing her with an air of authority that bordered on condescension. She complied silently, not because she had to, but because she wanted to see how far they would go. Around her, a small group of travelers began to linger, pretending to check their phones while casting curious glances her way. She could hear whispers, some sympathetic, others speculative. In the back of her mind, she replayed the countless board meetings and investor calls where she was the one in charge, her voice carrying weight. Would they even believe her if she spoke up now? Or would it take something more to break through their prejudice? The officer dug through her belongings with exaggerated precision, pulling out items and placing them on the table as if searching for evidence of something she knew didn't exist. Her passport sat in plain view, but they barely glanced at it. The tension in the air thickened as she caught snippets of their murmured exchanges, words like routine and protocol, though their actions felt anything but. She noticed how the younger officer glanced at her, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. Maybe he was starting to question if this was really necessary, but the senior officer pressed on, his tone growing sharper. A few more travelers stopped to watch, their faces showing a mix of unease and fascination.